Senator Coco Pimentel binalaan ang mga kapwa-senador na kung madismiss ang impeachment hearing laban kay VP Sara Duterte ay ito umano ay isang paglabag sa Konstitusyon. Malalabag ang 1987 Konstitusyon kung ibabasura ng Senado ang impeachment case laban kay Vice President Sara Duterte ayon kay Senate Minority Leader Aquilino Coco Pimentel III.
Ang ginagawa namin ngayon, ganito, yung incumbent senators. Ang problemahin namin yung aming sarili ngayon. In our situation now, ano ang sabi ng Constitution? Sundin na ngayon namin. If you play politics now, okay, down the road, hindi ko alam how many years from now, but down the road, there will be a political price to pay. Ganun naman yun. Ganun naman yun. So, mag-ingat-ingat lang din sila, especially if the action would obviously be, it can obviously be characterized as disregarding the mandate of the Constitution. The Senate President made the original calendar. Linagay na niya talaga na July. July na yung trial eh. So in the mind of the Senate President, as early as February, he was already subscribing to the idea that the Senate, that the impeachment case can cross over to the 20th Congress. So hindi dapat siya magbago ngayon. You have to be vigilant and then stay alert. On June 11,
Maging si Senator Alan Cayetano ay sang-ayon din kay Senator Coco Pimentel.
Kailangan niyo pa bang pagbotohan yung pag-convene Senate impeachment kahit na sa constitutional manner ng Senate? Kung a simple majority,
pagka constitutional mandate, gagawin nila. Having said that, di ba kasi yung implementing it, applying it, 24, parating may botohan niya. Kasi may botohan kasi may
so can it be overturned by a simple majority vote of the President of the Senate, yung constitutional mandate?
Hindi dapat.
Ayon naman sa ilang mga mambabatas na natatakot at prinoprotektahan di umano ni Senate President Chiz Escudero si Sara Duterte dahil sa pag-delay ng impeachment case laban sa Vice Presidente.
Well, something fishy, no? Umagante, may pinoproteksyonan talaga sa nangyayaring yan. At nakikita natin na paghahanda na ito doon sa mga gusto nilang mga position ba o sa 2028, etc. Huwag nang mag-deny si SP na talagang meron siyang pinoproteksyonan.
Every day of delay sends the message that the Senate leadership is either afraid of Vice President Sara Duterte or worse, actively protecting her. Kaya nga ang tanong natin, natatakot ba kayo kay Sara Duterte o pinoprotektahan?
Ginagawa namin kung ano ang trabaho namin, yung mga ganyang uri ng komentaryo at pain, uulitin ko. Doon sa mga ayaw kay VP Sara at pabor sa impeachment, doon sa mga gusto kay VP Sara at tutol sa impeachment, walang bale sa akin yun. Susundin ko kung anong tingin kong tama at nakalagay sa batas.
Tanong VP Escudero sa Kamara.
Pwede bang i-rally ko rin sila ng 4 na buwan o hindi nila inaksyonan yung impeachment complaint na inihain noong Disyembre? Kung sila mismo ay hindi nagmadali, inupuan at pabanjing-banjing sa mahabang panahon, sino naman sila para madaliin kami ngayon?
Mr. President, the second sentence already contradicts his honor because it says, unless the Senate provides otherwise, it shall continue in session from day to day. Session na yan as court. When we use Senate in the Senate impeachment rules, we refer to the Senate as the court.
In Congress, impeachment proceedings are not discontinued by a recess. The following impeachment proceedings extended from one Congress to the next.
What is now the calendar that His Honor has in mind? Kasi dati meron kang June 2, 4 p.m. appearance, then June 3, morning, we convene the Senate as an impeachment court. Nakapag-oath na ang members. So if that is now the dividing line, we have crossed the line. So Senate na po ito as a court. President, while I still have the floor, can I request for some information from the Senate President, especially regarding the impeachment calendar that is
gentleman may proceed.
because you issued the first impeachment calendar was issued by the Senate President when we were already on break, Mr. President. Tama po yun, di ba?
That is correct.
So, Mr. President, may we know when His Honor issued the first legislative calendar, impeachment calendar, which fixed June 2 as the time for receiving the House prosecutors, may we know the basis of the authority of the Senate President when he issued the first impeachment calendar, Mr. President?
Article 1 of the impeachment rules, which says that the Senate President can set the date for the presentation of the articles of impeachment. Mention was made specifically of the Senate President. And also we were on recess. So the Senate President at that time, Your Honor, issued a suggested calendar of activities. I was very clear when I stated that. Subject to plenary approval when we resume, because you were already on recess at that time. The second notice sent by this representation was made also while we were on recess. And I also stated that it was subject to plenary approval and or reversal, as the case may be, given the load that we need to take up after the LEDAC meeting.
So yes, Mr. President, I noticed that no one from the majority was complaining about the original or initial impeachment calendar issued by the Senate President. So we were all looking forward to the date where there should be some action on the impeachment, which is
Yes.
June 2.
Supposedly, yes.
Yes, supposed to be. Kaninang 4 o'clock yung the prosecutors from the House of Representatives should have appeared before us to read the articles of impeachment. But then this was changed. So from June 2, changed by the Senate President also, now it's June 11 at 4 p.m. So if the authority used to issue the original calendar was based on the fact that we were on break, now that we are not on break, could not have the Senate President waited for 3 p.m. and then we discussed moving the June 2 4 p.m. to June 11 4 p.m.?
Because, Your Honor, notice had to be given to the House with respect to the proposed change in schedule. And we could not decide on moving it after the House members are already here in the Senate. That was the reason behind it.
That was His Honor's judgment call, Mr. President.
Yes, Mr. President. Yes, Your Honor.
Just on another matter, Mr. President, yung appearance ba ng House prosecutors ay nasa Senate impeachment rules or you just took this from American practice, Mr. President?
It is not in the rules. That was lifted from American practice because what was done before was that the majority leader, the Senate majority leader, was the one that read the articles of impeachment that was referred to the Committee on Rules that triggered the convening of the impeachment court. When we researched on it, we thought it was more proper, given that we should have no part in it, in the impeachment trial, in the prosecution of the impeachment case, that the prosecutors should themselves read the articles of impeachment, as is the practice in the United States, where we lifted most of our impeachment rules.
So it's an innovation. But although, had we done it, hindi naman, I don't think it would be fatal or make the proceedings infirm. So it's just not, to use the term of the majority leader, textually required under the existing Senate impeachment rules. Hindi pa ba?
No. What was required by our rules, if at all, was the referral of the impeachment complaint in plenary. Because mere filing with the Secretary General does not often by itself operate as the receipt by the Senate in plenary, given that, as with any communication, it has to be referred in plenary, officially by the Senate as a body.
Dito, thank you, Honor. What is the pleasure of the Honorable Ontiveros? Salamat, Tabi, Mr. President. Gusto kong magdagdag ng point dun sa binanggit pareho ng majority leader, ng minority leader at pati ng Senate President. Yung references sa US practice and precedent. Kaugnay nung isa sa mga issue na pinag-usapan dito sa floor. Kung pwede ba o dapat bang mag-carry over yung impeachment process mula sa 19th Congress hanggang sa 20th Congress. And I would just like to put this on the record, Mr. President. Galing po ito sa isang piyesa authored ni UP Professor Paulo Tamase, nag-appear po sa June 2025 issue ng Philippine Law Journal. Sabi po dito, Emerging Issues in Impeachment, page 19 dun sa journal, allowing impeachment to cross over Congresses is consistent with American practice. Following the practice of the United Kingdom, Thomas Jefferson's Manual of Parliamentary Practice states that an, quote, impeachment is not discontinued by the dissolution of Parliament, but may be resumed by the new Parliament, close quote. The US Congress, na binanggit ng majority leader, ng minority leader at ng Senate President, the US Congress has observed this for over 200 years. From the 1803 impeachment of Judge John Pickering to that of Judge Porteus in 2009. In Congress, impeachment proceedings are not discontinued by a recess. The following impeachment proceedings extended from one Congress to the next. 5 pong halimbawa, Mr. President, sa article na ito. Babangkitin ko lang yung pang-apat kasi yun pamilyar sa ating mga Pilipino. 4. The impeachment of President Clinton was presented to the Senate after the Senate had adjourned sine die. After, Mr. President, the Senate had adjourned sine die for the 105th Congress, and the Senate conducted the trial in the 106th Congress, Mr. President. So, for the record lamang po, dahil very, very pertinent sa binanggit ng majority leader, ng minority leader, at pati ng Senate President na following US practice and precedent. And with one very recent concrete example po dun sa impeachment ni US President Clinton. So I hope that we can consider this in our own decision-making, Mr. President, even after the rescheduled presentation by the House prosecutors to the Senate as an impeachment court on 11th June. Salamat, Tabi, Mr. President.
Duly noted and entered into the records, majority